635.
Listening.
Yep. All right, so somewhere around here is going to be. Oh, this thing's in the way. Actually, I could go like this. And you're about there, so you're good. Actually, I need to be about there. That's gonna be money. There's actually fucking 2 people already waiting to watch. And it already got 4 likes and we didn't even start yet. How about that?
I like it.
What other props do you think we would need?
Copies of my book.
Got it.
Hold on.
I'm putting these here next to you. What else do you think we need?
Clue?
Do you think anything else?
Yeah. You got my encyclopedia. You got that. You got muscle.
Gotta pimp my new fucking mag.
Yeah.
I got a copy over here already, maybe not.
I didn't see the notes. Yeah, I don't know why it's not.
Notes?
I'm trying to.
You nervous?
No.
I am. I'm always nervous doing this.
Don't be nervous. Don't worry about it.
Why is this doing that?
Here's a question I have for you. Something I want to do here.
Okay.
On all projects, I got rid of that.
Is your ringer off on your phone?
Let's just forget about my computer for now. We'll do that later.
All right.
Yeah, my ringer's off. My everything's off.
Channel. Oh, okay, so that changes to that. That's why people are. There's 24 fucking people watching already. We're not even on. Maybe we should go on.
Let him wait.
What? That's fucking cool, right? All right.
I'm sure the phone is charged, right? You're not gonna.
I'm already plugged in. I got this plugged in, laptop plugged in.
That's what I need. I could use it late. Because I know my one video, my one angle.
Oh, are we live already? Did I start this already?
I don't know.
That'd be fucking hilarious if I did. On my click on that thing on my computer. Let's see. Yep, we're live already.
Yeah. Dan just called me.
All right, we started, and I didn't even know it. How about that? So, here we go. Let's plug this in. There's Jim. We're live. Plug this in so we have power. I know, we do need Abe. All right. All right, little audio test. Can you guys hear us? That will be the true test. Do we have audio? Somehow I hit the live button and they heard all that gibberish in the beginning. It's hilarious.
Yeah, Debbie just called me to tell me that.
All right. What's up, everybody?
Hello.
Little commercial going on here. We're going to be able to answer the questions here. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's put this in between us. That way you can read the questions too. Well, you got your laptop, don't you?
Yeah. I'll just put it in the middle there.
All right.
Never mind.
There goes the cord. There goes the neighborhood. All right. It's not going to block our view. Don't skip the ads. That's how we get paid. What's up, everybody?
Who's this we? That's how you get paid.
Moi. All right. We're live. All right, we'll skip the ads here because we got to see what's going on, make sure everything's looking good. And there we are.
All right.
All right, folks, I'm moving over a little bit.
Abe, you say the audio is low. How's it sound now? Too far from mic.
All right, we can fix that. I mean, we're pretty close to the mic. And until we get a real mic, let's see.
Earl, my last video went live Thanksgiving week. It was 70 GTO. I shot another one this Saturday, and Evan and I will be looking. I had a little technical difficulty on my computer, so we're going to look at it and get it all sorted out. Probably go live by Wednesday or so. So that's it.
All right, we're still learning about this live stuff. Is that audio better because we moved the phone quite a bit closer?
You look at that, it says better.
Lovely. Well, I couldn't see that. You did.
Yeah, no.
All right, everybody, welcome to the show. REVan Evan here. I got my man Jim Campisano
Muscle Car Campy.
in the house. We go back a long way.
It's hard to believe. 92 or so?
Yeah, somewhere around 92 we probably met. That's right around when I did my first story for Steve Collison.
Yeah. And then I can tell you when we really kind of became Goombas, it's taken a 93 SVT Lightning to Englishtown on a Friday night with my then girlfriend, now wife. We went to...
Who is Donna?
Donna, the lovely Mrs. Campisano.
Yep.
And we went to... I had to make a couple of hits on the car on Friday night to get some ETs for the magazine.
That's quarter-mile passes. That's not like he had to take somebody out.
Right. But yes, I want to make some runs in the Lightning before I was taking Donna on a little weekend down to Jersey Shore, Belmar, New Jersey.
Right.
So I pull up. You were doing tech in Englishtown.
Right.
And you're like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, come on, out here." So you just kind of gave me a number and said, "Here, just pull your car into this lane. This is your lane. Whenever you want to go, just find me and you can go." So that
I had to take care of the magazine, guys. I used to love reading Cars Illustrated, and of course, Muscle Mustangs and Fast Fords. I used to pull my car into the lanes and try to line up against Neil. And then we would literally be behind the tower, and I'd put my window down, and I'd be like, "Yo, that story you wrote, do you really shift at 5,500?" And he's literally giving me instructions when we're rolling up to the ready line.
God. No, we had some good times together down there, and then eventually you got us out of school. We hired you at Muscle Mustangs.
Yep.
And Jesus, and here we are.
Brian Wolf chiming in. What's up, Brian? Did a live with Brian about a week and a half ago. If you want to check that video out, it's on the channel. So let's just kick things off by, first of all, I appreciate everybody chiming in. We're going to do about an hour of chit-chatting. We hope everybody loves what we're doing. We'll keep doing more of these lives. We've been having a great time. If you haven't already subscribed, I would appreciate if you reach down into that little corner and hit the subscribe button. And we also have some really cool YouTube news, which we'll go through a couple times as new people chime in. But my man Jim Campisano has started his own YouTube channel, Muscle Car Campy. So when you're done with us tonight here, or if you want to click over there, subscribe real quick and come back, we'll wait for you. But he's got his own channel. I started with Muscle Mustangs, really started writing around 92, Jim before me. We've been best friends ever since. We moved down to Florida at the same time to be on the magazine together. We've had endless adventures, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff tonight. Go ahead, Jim.
The look on his face when I told him we were closing the office in New Jersey and we had to move to Florida, it was priceless. I wish I had video. I wish we had Muscle Car Campy video then. Oh my God.
It was December 22nd, so right before Christmas. Walk in, hey, the good news is you still have your job. The bad news is it's in Florida. But it turned out to be the good news because I don't have to shovel snow anymore.
The most liberating day of my life was when I handed over my snow brush to the movers that February when we were closing the office out.
Yep.
And I had to go out to the parking lot, get something out of the trunk of, God, one of my, I guess it was my Cobra project car at the time, or it could have been the white. No, it was the white
car.
The white car, the icebox.
Oh, with that annoying
And-
exhaust.
No, I had good exhaust on it. I think.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I went in the trunk and I pulled out what I needed and I grabbed the snow brush and I'm like, I'm walking in. I'm like, I saw the moving guy. I was like, you want this? I don't
Nope.
need it anymore.
We got a question for you. What's your channel?
Muscle Car Campy, Campy,
With a Y.
with a Y.
Yep, check him out. We're trying to get him to 1,000 subs, or obviously more than that, but he's got some cool videos on there. He's just starting out, so we're going to be diverse on that channel, but stick to muscle car theme. What's the theme?
Absolutely. Right now, I've been doing vintage muscle cars because, frankly, you do so many vintage. You do so much late model Ford stuff.
Right.
I can't really. Why would I want to compete with you and go up against your channel? My real passion, the first magazine I edited was muscle cars.
Yep.
Which was then later sold to Dobbs and merged with Muscle Car Review.
Right.
So I figured, I got to get back into that. We go to enough Cars and Coffee together down here. There's a million cars. I said this was all good fodder for the YouTube mill. And of course, that's kind of where it all started. Eventually, I probably may do some like what we call late model Mustangs.
I think you should.
Like an 83 Mustang GT or an 87 LX. What we consider late model, that was close to 40 years ago. So,
Oh, no doubt. And that's also 3 words, muscle car campy, because I think somebody wrote muscle car campy as, that's John Moore, my man John Moore, ace photographer. Guy knows what to do with the camera, taught me a lot. Actually, John's taught me mostly what I know about photography, and this guy has taught me mostly what I know about writing. So that's pretty scary on its own. Let's check out if we got some more questions here.
I taught Evan the most important part of photography. Always take the lens cap off and always have film in the camera.
We don't use film anymore.
I know, but that was important for a long time.
No doubt about it. Let's see if we got some. I'm going to scroll back to see if we missed any questions. So let's see. What's up, Jim and Evan from Snake95, Snake in 95. My man Lucina watching.
There. Muscle Car Campy. Can everybody see that?
Yep. Abe Tang, the man himself.
There you go.
Somebody chimed in. We got Brian Wolf watching. So if you want to say hi to Brian Wolf, he is on the scene. We got Matt Farrer's Million Mile Lexus chiming in. What's going on? I still have about 65 pounds of MM&FF stacked up in the spare bedroom. I know those things are heavy. When I moved to Florida, oh my God, I think I almost killed the freaking
I moved mine
the guy
from
carrying that stuff.
Jersey to Florida, Florida to California, California to Nashville, and then Nashville back to Florida. Probably cost $1 billion in shipping. Thank God I wasn't paying for it.
M. Wilson 7. We know who that is.
Hey, Mark. What's going on,
dude?
Cheers.
I think we need some beers.
Oh, God. The last thing we need is one Camaran over here.
That's me, by the way. Somebody asked how's Bananas.
Bananas is doing... Oh, Andrew, what's going on, buddy? She's great. She's about to celebrate her 15th birthday. Bananas is my beagle. Fantastic dog. She has yet to make it into a video, but she does go to car shows. She really likes
She
going
likes
to car
riding in
shows.
shaft. You're 65 Dodge.
It's hilarious. It's like she jumped in there like it was like... I think she's got the soul of a car girl in her, because whenever I take her to car shows, she walks up to every car in the place. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, so let's see. Ricardo just subscribed to your channel.
Way to go, Ricardo.
Runa, what's going on? My buddy Runa up in New York. Is it cold up there yet, buddy? Because it's not cold down here. Although some people would tell you that. Lucina says beers. And then Pip Tyson is moving to Florida. You won't be disappointed. Where are you moving from, Pip? So, man, let's just start off, I guess, with some fun stories. I busted out a couple of the old MM&FF magazines. So let's start with a fun one right here, which is, well, first of all, there's always a lot of questions about what the first issue of Muscle Mustangs is. This is the first issue ever, right?
That was it.
This is it.
The editor was Cliff Gromer. A lot of guys wanted to do a Mustang magazine. This was when the 5-liter thing was really taking off. Cliff was really an older car guy, older muscle car guy. Hence, he show the cover again. There was a Boss 9 on the cover and a 4-ride Fox at the bottom.
And a story on Al Jonak, which we just did a story in my new magazine, Drag Racing Edge, on Al Jonak.
Yeah. So there was some trepidation about doing an all 5-liter Mustang magazine.
Keep talking. I'm gonna get a beer.
Go ahead. And this was in '88. I think it came out in December of '88 or so. So then Cliff left the company. A lot of people. There was a lot of turnover. So they hire Steve Collison, the late great Steve Collison, formerly of Superstock and Drag Illustrated. Steve, of course, got his was one of the first 5-liter guys, along with Tony DeFeo and Neil Van Opry.
Steve Collison.
To Steve Collison, may he rest in peace. It's just really sad. He died very young. He was a good man.
Yep.
But so Steve comes along and says, "We've got to revive Muscle Mustangs. We've got to do a 5-liter magazine." So what does he put on the cover? A '69 Shelby GT500.
Yep.
Again, I don't know. And there was an inset shot of a Fox Mustang on it, and I don't know if they were just afraid still of pulling the trigger on an all 5-liter magazine. But you know, eventually the magazine became more and more focused on 5 liters, and the days of putting, you know, vintage Mustangs on the cover were gone.
All right, let's move along here. This is an important issue. This is Jim's first issue as editor, right?
This was my first issue. Here's that lightning that I was telling you about that I had to test it.
It's in that issue?
It's on that cover, yeah.
And the one thing you'll notice about this, Jim was never afraid to do really fun cover blurbs.
Yes.
So, Great Balls of Fire. Didn't you have Shaved and Legal once?
I don't know what you're talking about.
But we were talking about road race tires.
Road race tires.
It was like a story just for Jeff Lucina. So I think there's some fun. Oh, here, check this out. I mean, look at that. Look at that face.
Yep. That's who can name that project car?
Name that project car. I can, but I'm not gonna. I'll see.
It was a '93 Mustang GT. Name that car.
Let's see who can do it. We're gonna break out the memories tonight for sure. This is gonna be fun.
This is a true story. We both love Steve Collison. He was one of the most fun guys in the world to hang around with. But organization was not really his middle name.
Dude was his middle name.
Dude was his middle name. The guy had a license plate for his car was Tacos because he liked Mexican food so much.
He really did.
But when it came to, people always said, "Jim, that's a kind of a crazy car you put on a cover, this pure, purple LX with purple headlight covers." And they're like, "Why did you put that on the cover? What made you put that?" And the short answer is, it was one of the few files that I could actually find on the windowsill that was complete. Francis Butler shot it. A lot of the first issue was really like me going through boxes and envelopes and just looking for stuff.
I wanted it to be the Stock Eliminator Chronicles.
And what did I say to that?
No.
Yes. Well, I love stock as much as the next guy, and I will say that I am now the sales director for the NMRA and NMCA. If we have anybody out there who wants to sponsor our stock and super stock class, they are open for 2022. How's that for a shameless plug?
Nothing wrong with shameless plug. Team Mustang crushes Team GN, which pretty much was every year.
Every year. Until all the Mustangs went to Maple Grove for the Ford Motorsport Nats. And then the GNs finally won. They were beating guys with like 4-cylinder Mustangs with like 14-inch wheels. It was bad. But that was probably the only race the Buick Grand Nationals ever won in their history.
Yep. So let's see, Mr. Wilson. Most of my Muscle Mustangs copies are in really good condition. Up until recently, I had multiple copies of it, so I didn't have to touch my stuff that was in the files. So they're all in pretty good condition. Check this one out. So this one is the first issue that I wrote for Jim, and I wrote the cover story, which I remember I still lived with my parents, and I'm sitting in my parents' room writing this story, and I was very happy to write for you. Oh yeah, there it is, look, by Evan Smith. I didn't have the J going.
No.
Just Evan Smith.
He was so poor back then he couldn't afford a middle initial. He bought that later.
Yep, so that's my first story for you. My first story for Steve was in like 2 or 3 or something like that. I could dig that one out later.
Well, your most famous photo, of course, was when you were still working at the track. You shot that lawn shot at
The
night.
Don Walsh shot.
Don Walsh Sr., not Junior, when that was another Mustang Buick showdown, wasn't it?
It was.
And Don, he was the deciding factor in that showdown, right? He won.
I believe so.
Yeah.
There was so many of them. Here's another Mustang showdown. We had a lot of them. We'll cover some more of that stuff as we move along. I don't know if you guys got questions. Feel free to chime in. We got so many stories. It's almost like I don't even really know where to start.
You know, there's like two eras. Like people always say, you know, Campy, you love old muscle cars. How did you become editor of Muscle Mustangs? And I was like, well, Steve left to go back to Superstock. I took over, and then you came on board. And
Right.
you know, at the time, Muscle Mustangs was growing out of control, and I mean, it just every month was like, I need more copies. I need more stories. He'd be like, I've got 4 stories already. I was like, don't worry about it.
I was the best at begging out of stories.
Oh, you tried anyway. But, you know, but the beauty of it was, at the time we were working, it was a small publishing company called CSK Publishing in North Jersey.
Yep.
And, you know, even as big as the Mustang field was getting, we didn't have a ton of advertisers, and our boss was an older guy who would basically, you could do anything you wanted. He didn't care.
I'm just reading the comments. Coletti story coming up. We got some good ones, but go ahead and finish.
So we kind of like just did whatever we wanted. Sometimes, you know, inexperience and enthusiasm could get you in a couple of tight spots with the advertising community.
Yeah.
But you know,
Or the local law.
Or the law. But we didn't really care. I mean, we just said, you know, and this is something I think we both learned from Steve Collison and one of my other editors back in the day, D. Randy Riggs. Just put the readers first, man, and that will take care of everything. And I think we always really did. We always tried to like do stuff that, you know, what I always say is we had the key to the candy store. We could pretty much get our hands on any part we needed and put it on somebody's car and do stuff. And it's one thing to just put parts on, but we had fun with it. We didn't just put the parts on.
No, because you know, not to toot our own horns, but we're passionate about racing and cars. It wasn't ever a chore to go to Englishtown and do testing or be at a shop till 11 o'clock at night doing an install. I got to chime in 1 second because we did have a couple of questions. Our favorite issue, we're going to get to that in a second. Coletti story, we'll get to that. But the one thing you just said to me, which still rings true, is, and I know it rings true in your staff at Race Pages, at Fastest Street Car, is reader value. You got to put the reader, or in this case, the viewer first. I had a comment that I answered today on the YouTube channel about somebody said it really feels like it's Muscle Mustangs that has come alive with the videos. This is actually my new magazine. I talked about it before. I've talked about it on my Facebook. This is the magazine I'm doing now. If you still like print, you can subscribe. This is Drag Racing Edge magazine. I had to make sure I didn't grab a copy of Muscle Mustangs there by accident. And we're having a lot of fun. We have a really fun group that we're doing this magazine with, covering all kinds of stuff. I think you'll really like the next issue if you're a Mustang guy or gal. There's my shameless plug. Go subscribe to my new magazine. You could also check out my Instagram at Official Ford Guy, and you could check his out at JCampy1, is it?
Yeah.
What's your Instagram? I think it's JCampy1 or something like that.
Yeah.
You need to change it to
no,
Muscle Car Campy.
it's Super Chevy Jim.
That's,
Yeah, right? Let me see. Hey, what can I say?
I don't think it is, but I think it's JCampy1.
I don't know.
Anywho, so let's get to some of these questions. Paul Gunther, my man Paul, just subscribed to Muscle Car Campy.
This is a good one, the Joe Spino story.
Ooh, let's do the Coletti story first.
Okay.
I'll let you take on this one. Oh, wait. Joe Caggiano. 5 months ago, I was painting the room. The room's going to get painted eventually, Cag. What's up, my man, Cag?
Alright, here's my Coletti story.
Alright, do it.
I have hundreds of Coletti stories.
Alright.
The first one was when, I'll give it a short one, when we were giving away Code Blue we were looking for a prize, and John was still, he wasn't even on SVT yet. He was still like the Mustang manager at the time.
Right.
And he said, we'll fly the guy up to Detroit, we'll let him drive the new SN95 Mustang on the proving grounds and blah, blah, blah. Not like the little product review course.
Right.
So that tells you all John didn't really know me from Adam at the time, but that was the kind of guy he was. He was dedicated to Mustangs like you can't believe.
Right.
Ford performance. But my funniest favorite story of Coletti, aside from him wanting to light you on fire inside the...
We'll get to that in a minute. Don't give it away.
So, I like any story that starts with Evan on fire. But,
Been there.
he, no, we're going in the desert, the 2000 Cobra R launch, and that car was, to this day, probably one of my favorite Mustangs. I mean, just incredible handling. It was torque, horsepower, RPM. It was the package. So we're out on the highway outside of Phoenix. We drove the cars on track at the Bondurant, and we're going. I'm like, let's see what this thing will do. And I'm hammering. Well, actually, it wasn't Arizona. It was somewhere in Mexico, as they say today.
Right.
I'm going 100.
You gotta air quote that.
Somewhere in Mexico. I'm going 165 with Coletti in the car, and that thing's got like way more in it. And I finally just lift, and I'm like, we start slowing down. You know, we're going back to a normal highway speed, and he just kind of turns to me and looks. He says, "Campisano, how come every time I get in a car, when you're journalists, you guys have the need to test the top speed of this thing?" And I just thought that was priceless.
Let's see. We'll scope out what's going on here. We got a big hello from the Rudder brothers. Can you believe that? Lee chiming in and Gary
That
from New
was
York.
Mr. 5-Speed before you.
Oh my God, Lee, he's still Mr. 5-Speed. That's my hero right there. Lee Rudder, Mike Matarazzo, and Big Daddy, like, they were my heroes, man. Lee could rotor gears like nobody else. I used to freaking run to the fence to watch that guy. I loved announcing when I used to announce at E-Town, and Lee would come up for a run. And just the way he would go through the gears was unbelievable.
Here's one. Whatever happened to Code Blue?
Ooh, that was a giveaway car.
That was,
So
yeah.
it got given away, basically.
Yeah, we got that car from Ford for $1. We put one of the first Vortex superchargers on it.
Mhm.
We put a Celine suspension in it.
Right.
Centerline wheels, BFG tires.
I had to drive with that car, with Hunkins to Ohio. Not one of my favorite trips. Not because of John, just the car rode stiff.
That car was...
Had those seats that were like bricks.
the flow
fit.
Flow fit. It was like sitting on concrete.
Yeah, so let's see. We got some more comments here. We got Bob Myers chiming in. You might not know the name, but you'll know the car. Just subscribe to your channel. Bob's the guy with the 4-cylinder Capri that runs the stick shift shootout.
Oh yeah. Hey Bob.
From Greensburg, Pennsylvania. My friend Christine and Ryan live up that way. And then NHRA stock is the one and only Ed Hohenberg.
Oh boy.
So Ed's watching from Manitoba. Is it snowing up there yet? Hey? That was so cheesy. Hello from Alabama, Mike Curtis. How you doing? Let's see. You guys are awesome. I know I still have MM&FF magazines that are 15 years old, which is weird because I'm only 30. So I must have started when I was 10.
Dude.
You're like, what, 38?
138 at this point.
What's up, Bob? We're having some fun tonight. We do appreciate everybody. If you're new and you just chimed in and you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button down in the lower right, I think it is, or the lower left. It's somewhere down there. And also, Jim's got a new YouTube channel. Where's your piece of paper? Muscle Car Campy. Check him out on YouTube and give him a subscribe.
Can anyone actually see that?
Yes.
There you go. Muscle Car Campy. Hold closer. Yes.
All right, that's enough shameless plugs right there. My Coletti story is, so everybody at that, it's like, what was that, in 05 at this point, right? Late 04, 05?
Well, can I preface this story to tell you
may.
how it starts?
You may.
So every time we got Coletti on the phone, he knew, because the guy was like running SVT. He was way up the food chain, and
Right.
I call up his office, and he always knows I'm going to put the arm on him for something, but he knows it's going to be something good. So I said to him, John, I said, Evan and I are talking. You guys, the mile an hour we see those cars running in a quarter mile, they should be in the 10s.
Right.
So I said, why don't you give us one, for a quarter mile test. We'll put some tires on it. And he goes, when do you want the car there? Pretty much Coletti, right? But,
Right.
but he, of course, puts a tune in it and puts a set of experimental Goodyear tires on it that turned out to be way too tall.
Yeah, they killed the gear ratio.
They really did. But the bottom line is we get to the track and things aren't going the way we want. The tires aren't working right. They just weren't good on
And
the
the
track.
engineers just swore that these tires were going to work.
Yeah.
And I think I was like, put the stock tires back on it. It'll go quicker.
Yeah.
And they just fought us, but they finally did it.
So meanwhile, the backstory is Coletti's not only going to deliver this car, but him and I are going down to Atlantic City to play some craps and blackjack that night in the Ford GT.
Yep.
We're going to spend the night, have a time, you know. It's almost like a Sopranos episode. You know, we'll go down, we'll get some steaks, you know.
Bada boom, bada bing, forget about it.
We'll drop this guy off in the Pine Barrens, no problem. And
Mix it with the relish.
so now, Evan, take it from there. Car's not going tense. What does Coletti say?
Coletti says basically to me, he pulls me aside and he says, Evan, if this car doesn't go tens, I'm going to light it on fire with you in it.
Simple.
So I got in the car and I ran 1098. And he was very happy.
Absolutely. That was a good. The bottom line is we made about 600 passes.
Oh my
in the
God,
car.
we beat the snot out of the thing
So-
that day.
The typical MO was, you know, Ace test driver here. I'll take all the photos. At the end of the day, if there's anything left of the car, I'll make a hit in it. So he makes the
Poor
run.
kid, this is so brutal.
So this is the car we're going to take to Atlantic City. Get in the car. I'm so excited because now I've driven Ford GTs on road courses and I've driven them on the street, but I've never taken one to drag strip. And I figure if he can go 1098, who couldn't, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of ego we all had. I get in the car, I launch it, and I'm like, this feels like terrible. And I'm like,
Burn the clutch out of it.
there was no clutch left. I mean,
Yeah.
I make like a half a pass, and it was just god awful. And that was the end of the clutch and the end of my trip to Atlantic City.
And there's photos of it too, smoking. Jim was not happy when he got in the car. You were embarrassed.
I was embarrassed, and you know,
It happens.
yeah.
Let's see. Let's check out some questions here. I think I saw Dave Turner chiming in from Canada. Mustang stock eliminator racer. What's up, Dave? Saying hello. David Gass, that was such a great magazine. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And we appreciate you checking out the REVan Evan channel.
He's got one of the guys asking for a quick Larry Shinoda story. When Larry, I met Larry when I was editor of Muscle Cars, and I was also working on Vet magazine at the time. And of course, Larry was in charge of bringing the Stingray Racer into production, the '63 Corvette. He was one of the main stylists on that car, and of course the '68 Corvette, two of my favorite cars ever. He also designed the Boss 302 and the Cougar Eliminator. So Larry's resume is pretty amazing. So here it is, 1993 or 4, the new Mustang comes out. Larry's calling me up. He goes, Jim, I want to design a new body kit for the '94 Mustang. What do you think? And he sends me some sketches, and it looked nice.
Oh, keep going. I got that car here.
And it looked nice, but I was like, you know, what you really... And I'm looking at sketches at this point. I'm like, you got to make the rear spoiler bigger. I said, because, you know, the most popular rear wing at the time was
It's a little dusty.
the Celine Whale Tail. Oh, that's the boss one. That doesn't have the full Shinoda kit.
Oh, okay.
But
John Moore gave me this, I think.
so I tell Larry the car needs a bigger rear spoiler, and I was telling him how the Celine wing, the Whale Tail, was every kid wanted that on his '87 or '93 Mustang. So he designs a bigger wing. He designs a body kit with a small wing for the normal people, and then one for the big wing,
Right.
with cup holders in it.
I remember that.
So when people were hanging out, going to the track, cruising, doing whatever they're doing, they could put their drinks down in the cup holders on the Whale Tail spoiler. And the first ones that entered production didn't have the cup holders. The guy thought it was a mistake. He thought it was a goof. And he's like, no, they got to have cup holders in it. Larry was a beautiful, beautiful, brilliant man. He revolutionized the trucking industry with his designs for aerodynamic over-the-road trucks. Improving fuel efficiency by like 25-30%.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did all those amazing designs and unfortunately died of kidney disease
Ugh.
way too young, but he was a sweetheart of a guy, and Here's to
to
Larry. Cheers.
All right, let's see what we got kicking here. Do I still have the 5.0 notch I bought a while ago? Let's see. I still have my original 87 that I bought, Project Stalker. I still have that. The 5.0 notch 85 that I bought, I sold that a long time ago. When I left the magazine in 2014, I sold that. Unfortunately, I had to start the REVan Evan empire, and I needed to buy this laptop, and I needed to buy a bunch of camera gear, and unfortunately that had to go at the time.
This is an empire, huh?
Not much, but it's all I got.
Remember what happened to the Romans.
Exactly. So let's see. Sean, the American Patriot, great channel. Did you ever meet Bob Cosby? I've known Bob Cosby for years. Bob Cosby, I met. We did the stock stang shootout. I don't remember what year it was, but it had to be probably still in the maybe mid 2000s, early 2000s. We did a stock stang shootout, like a pure stock kind of thing. So I've known Bob a long time. Bob is back racing NMRA. I think he runs Coyote stock now. He just turned his little coupe into a Coyote stock car. So Bob is still at it. You served in the Navy with him, and he ate notchback. Yeah. So hey, and thank you very much for your service. We appreciate anybody who goes out there and does that job.
No doubt.
Yep. Cheers to you guys. You know, Troublemaker, I tried to call Neil a few minutes ago to tell him we'd be on and get him to chime in. Maybe we'll text him and see. I still talk to Neil all the time. We'll get to a Neil story in a minute because we got some funny ones about Neil, like the aliens stole his homework and stuff like that. True story. No big updates on Project Stalker, Earl, because we're finishing the Cyclone. And if you've also seen the wagon on our channel, we got to get the wagon down here. Everybody's loving the wagon, so we're going to do the Cyclone, then Project Stalker, and in the mix there, work on the wagon. That answers that. Let's see. I have the Super Stallion in plastic and 1/24. I love my die-cast cars, and so does he.
Super Stallion, what a great fun car to drive.
We got a Leaf.
Super Stallion and a Boss.
They were so much fun.
Dude, that was again, John Moore worked on those, Coletti, all the guys at Ford SVT at the time. It was like, they really were like, and I can't speak because I don't really deal with the same guys anymore, but when I was doing muscle, those guys were doing with cars the kind of crazy stuff that we were doing with the magazine.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like, well, what if we put a Boss 429 in an SN95? What if we put a blower in
V10, and
Yeah,
there was so much
it
cool
was so
stuff
much-
coming out of Ford.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys like Kevin Bird and Coletti and John Moore, who's checking it out now. John Moore probably has more John Coletti stories than anybody. Let's see. New City car. Back when I had every oil weight in my refrigerator, always testing for flow. Oil needs to lubricate and get out of the way. Yep. Runa was at the shootout. Yep, you were at that shootout. Let's see here. We got a lot of questions here. Built your Turbo Fox because he was obsessed with the Hooligan Hot Rod. We will have Vinny on the show at some point here. Love the Cyclone. Jim Summers story, man. May he rest in peace. What a great guy that guy was. Oh my God. Stole the magazine, FOMO Co. All right, let's do an SN95 story because we have probably one of my favorite stories revolves around that. So let's see here. Snake in 95 asks an SN95 story, and then let's see. They're going to get back issues. eBay's the only way I think to get back issues. But let's answer Snakin's question. SN95. So I'll set the stage, and then I'll let you take over. We're out in California, Jim and I. We're testing the 94 S351 naturally aspirated.
It was a 96.
Oh, was that it? Oh,
we tested two cars. We had it. It was you could still get the S350
You're right. I had the year wrong.
And while our press car from Ford was a
it was a 96 GT.
96 GT 5-speed,
green.
but with the 248A package, the V6 interior, the lighter weight roll-up window.
Correct.
Which, you talk about a car that suffered some abuse at the drag strip.
Really beat on it, but in a good way. So we get this car, and Jim and I were in Southern California. The weather's fantastic. We're cruising a brand new Celine. I think it was Lipstick Red, or it was a really flashy
Yeah, it was like
color.
a laser red
Laser
metallic.
red. It was gorgeous.
Oh God!
And this thing pulled like nobody's business. Like this thing had 351 plus.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a rocket. And so the few times we gunned it on the street, it would go from 60 to 100 like
Nothing.
really, really fast, like way faster than we thought it even should have.
Yeah.
So, in addition to our drag strip testing and the other stuff that we did, because it would run the speedo up so fast, now we're still on film cameras here, not this digital stuff and phone stuff, regular cameras. I got the cockamamie idea.
I don't know if you.
It was my idea.
It was not you.
It was my idea. And I said, why don't you get in the back seat? This thing had just a hoop roll bar. And let's just get a picture of the speedo at like 120. It'll be really cool for the story. So then Jim takes it one step further. He calls one of our local photographers out there, Dangerous Dane.
Dangerous Dane.
We go out in the desert. So we
Yeah.
are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I go out, I find out where does Car and Driver do its top speed testing.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, there's one cross street, and then it's like flat out for 4 miles. There's no cross streets. There's nothing out there.
There's just basically light standards that are off the road. I'm gonna build it up a little more, and I'm gonna let you chime in. And I promise you will laugh. And this is the first time this story's ever been told in public. If you read the story on this car, this part of the story was not in the article. So this is gonna be good. So, you know, we do a couple test runs. I wing it up to like 120, 130. Dane's getting his camera set up. We get some basic photography.
And meanwhile, I'm in the back seat.
He's in the back seat on the right side, crammed in with his camera against his face, a roll bar going right across his face. And so I'm like, all right, ready to rock. We're gonna go up to 130 or so. I'll tell you when you get to chime in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't go premature on me.
No, never.
So now we're gonna make the hero run, right? We're gonna go for 140 miles an hour, which shouldn't be that big a deal. We had already been like 120 in. So I turn around, we go way down, and I start running this thing up through the gears, second, and the speedo's just ripping, third. And this thing sounded like a NASCAR Cup car. I mean, this was not, we later found out this thing had like a 408 speculatively, and it was like a motor built by Kuntz and Company, and really, it was bad to the bone. I put the thing into fourth gear, and I got my foot on the header. I push it.
And I'm telling you, the speedometer in this car moved like a tack. I mean, it was just
ripping.
It was swinging.
I put the thing in the fifth, and it's literally 140, 150,
And I'm just
it's
clicking
not
away in the
stopping.
back seat.
And so the speedo's still climbing, and this thing's just, ooh, it's screaming. And I'm literally just waiting for him. Now remember, I'm like still a kind of a newbie. I'd only been on the magazine like 3 years. He's like he's the boss, which he's still the boss. And I'm waiting for him to be like, all right, dude, that's enough. And the road's a little crowned, so it's starting to dance a little bit. And the poles are whizzing by. And still Jim's saying nothing, and I just keep hearing the camera click. And I'm like, okay, keep going. 168, 170. I mean, it is going. And now I'm like, I want to see this thing go as far as it will
We
go.
thought it would go 180. And basically, and keep in mind, this whole time, this whole run, I'm clicking off with a motor drive. I had to actually change film.
He's
At like
fumbling.
120 miles an hour, I'm changing the film. No seat.
I didn't even know you had to do that.
Oh yeah, I had to change film. And I'm praying at this point that I'm not the world's greatest photographer, but I do have a steady hand, and I'm
Right.
taking pictures, and this thing, he's got his foot on the header.
I mean, the motor is it's fighting the aerodynamics at this point. I'm literally like glancing down to watch the speedo, and the tack is like out, and I think it tipped 180, indicated.
I clicked 180, and then he lifted.
And
And that was all she
It was
wrote.
like click lift. It wasn't going any faster.
No.
So then, like, go ahead.
So we're slowing down. We go to make a U-turn. at
No,
the
but remember, before that, I looked back. At like 140, which I wasn't watching the speedo, so I just come out of the gas and we're coasting down.
So he's like, "That was amazing, wasn't it?" I'm like, "Turn around! You're going 140 miles
We're
an
still
hour."
going 140. It felt like 20 miles an hour after going 180, and he's screaming at me like, "Turn around, Jesus Christ, we're getting gone!"
Yeah.
So then we turn around, we come back, I drop him off, and then Dane was like, well, just do a couple passes like 80, 90 miles an hour so I can get some extra photography.
Yeah, he didn't have his lens on quite right.
Yeah, so I drop him off, I go down, whatever, an eighth of a mile. I go to make the U-turn, and the steering just like, no power steering. And I immediately knew the belt flew off, but I didn't know to what extent, because I just had no power steering.
Or in what country?
Yeah, and then the alternator light comes on and it starts to heat up. Now, mind you, we are in the middle of nowhere, so I limp it back to where they are, and I'm like, guys, we got a problem. We popped the hood, and as suspected, the belt is just in a million pieces, right? So now we are in the middle of nowhere, in the desert.
Pre-cell phone days.
Pre-cell
Nobody's
phone.
got a cell phone, and believe me,
No
if you
beepers.
had one,
It
it
wouldn't-
wouldn't have worked out
yeah.
there. We were so far out. There was like one house.
One house.
One house.
So we're sitting there for a while. We send, now also remind you that we have a prototype car essentially. You can't just go to, AutoZone and give me like, hey, at this point, give me a belt for a 351.
Yeah, Ford hasn't built the 351 Mustang since 1973.
So we have no idea what belt length. We don't even have like a string to run anything. We're just like,
So Dangerous Dane goes, he drives into town looking for a belt. These two hombres come up.
wait. Meanwhile, there's more detail. You gotta be detailed. So out of this house, we see a yellow, like 87, bright yellow Chevy crew cab dually come rolling up towards us. And we're like, oh crap, what the hell's going on
Who
here?
are these guys?
So two guys get out of the truck, and the guy basically says, like, you work for Motor Trend?
No, yeah, we're like, they're out here all the time.
Yeah, and he's like, no. And I'm like the naive, young, I was literally like flounder in Animal House. I'm like, what do you guys do? And the guy goes, we work in town. And I'm like, no, but what do you do? He's like, shut up. The guy goes, we work in town.
And then he's like, you busted your belt, you can put your car in our garage for...
We're like, nah, we can't do that.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes, I got a spare belt for a 350 Chevy at the house. We'll go get it. We're shitting a brick at this point. But the guy came back and gave us a belt.
Gave us a belt, and now we got to figure out, Dane comes back eventually.
No. I start working the belt.
Oh, you're working the belt, trying to figure out, what can I not run? How can we get this belt on?
I'm like, I gotta basically run the water pump and the alternator to make this thing work. So I'm routing it however I can get it to run, even if it's gotta run the water pump backwards. I'm like, it'll be fine to drive casually home. And I get it figured out once, and we go to drive the car. Now we didn't even have a pry bar to manipulate the tensioner pulley. So literally we had we're by hand.
The best thing we had was like a pen.
I know, it was awful.
bad.
And a camera lens.
So
I'm like, I know this story's dragging on, but trust me, it's funny as hell. So I get the thing, I think it'll work, I go to drive the car, and I can just tell it's slipping like crazy. So then I redo it again, long story short, I get it within like an inch of fitting. And we just need to move the tensioner. At that point, as luck would have it, a car drives up. The one time, the whole other time other than the guys that gave us the belt, a car drives up. They stop. Jim literally goes, and I've never seen him this mad except for one other time. Go ahead.
like, hi, can you help us? We need a... And the guy just like looks and like floors it.
Yeah, he just
and
took
takes
off.
And I go, absolutely.
He got so mad. He got so mad. He just took the belt and put it on by hand.
You know, what do you say?
He had the kind of strength that you're not supposed to have that anymore.
No, you can't have that.
You can't say that word anymore. So we put the belt on, and then that's when Dangerous Dane got back with a belt, and we were like, we got it. We test drove it.
Yeah.
It broke a little piece of the air pump pulley, and it cut the belt. That's what the problem eventually
even
was.
when we went back to Celine, they put a belt on it.
And it didn't work.
And what did I say? Let's keep this old belt these guys gave us just in case. And that's what happened. Celine puts a new belt, we go take it, blast around, the belt gets chewed up. Fortunately, the air pump was facing us. You know, as we're looking down, the air pump's open, you can see the gears.
Yeah.
And the belt was vibrations, whatever.
It broke a piece of the pulley enough where it kept slicing the belt. But so there's your SN95 story. It's never been told before. And we literally thought we might die there by those two guys. They were pretty friendly, but they looked like
they looked a little dangerous.
They were definitely dangerous. So let's see. Back issues, we covered that. Thanks, Evan. Bob is the reason I bought my 93 hatch. Bob's a great dude. The V10 351 was awesome. John Moore chime in. My channel is based on my 97 GT. What's your horseplay motoring? We'll have to check that out. No doubt about it. We'll give you a sub. Let's see. If you ran Ford, what would you have built that Ford won't build now? That's a great question.
Honestly, if I ran Ford then, that 5.4 Cobra R motor in every Mustang made. That should have been in every Mustang Ford built.
That was a glorious
That
engine.
engine, if you've never driven one, and I can tell you from being editor at the time, I mean, we drove them on racetracks, we took them to get cheesesteaks in Philadelphia. We did everything with that car. We put thousands and thousands of miles.
I know what I'd build.
That car, every Mustang, every SM95 Mustang should have had that 5.4 dual overhead cam engine in it, except for the ones that got the Terminator engine.
They were pretty good too.
They were pretty good.
I would put the Coyote, a killer and a Coyote version of the Coyote in the Ford GT. The Ford GT V8 baby.
Twin turbos,
Yep.
twin turbo Coyote, and
Options.
Ford GT.
A high-strung NA motor
Yeah.
and a twin turbo, or definitely a supercharged version of that. That answers that question.
When are we going to talk about some vintage muscle cars? You know, muscle
Hang on,
car
let's see if we
candy.
got any more questions here. We couldn't afford life insurance. We needed center lines. Yeah, no doubt about that. Johnny G chiming in. Let's see. A 2022 Mustang with the 13. Yes. Definitely needs quarter mile package. So, all right, let's give your bust out some of those books. Jim's got a big time history writing about muscle cars, more so than just muscle Mustangs.
This was
I'll smash my leg.
my first muscle car book, cleverly titled "American Muscle Cars." Not that there's ever any other kind of muscle cars,
Right.
but you know you got to throw the American word in there when you.
Merc.
Merc, baby.
Merc.
This was a book. John Moore knows about this one. This is a book I did when I was editor of Muscle Mustangs. Ford was celebrating the 10th anniversary of the special vehicle team, and I was honored that I was picked to do this book for Ford Motor Company.
I ain't even read that once I learned how to read.
Look at that. Got the blue oval on the back. That's how official this
Official
stuff is.
Ford.
Official. I think it even has a part number.
Identical.
Somewhere it's got a part number. I don't know. But this was the one I did that paid a lot of bills around the house. The Encyclopedia of Muscle Cars. I think it was God.
I love that book. I still reference that thing because you got all.
I think it's 80 or 90,000 words or 180,000 words. I mean, it's everything from a 1964 to a 74 Super Duty, Trans Am. Hey, Lily, thank you.
Hey Lily, you send him that copy, he'll autograph that baby for you and send it back, right?
Yeah, but I'll charge her $20. But
How do you know it's a chick?
Lily? I don't know.
A Lily. Lily could be the last name. We don't
That's
know.
true. What do I
It
know?
could be Al Lily.
That's true.
I mean, if it is a chick, that's cool.
But a chick?
A female.
A female.
A female. A
Come
young
on.
lady.
Yes. Or an old lady.
Could be anything. No doubt about it.
Are we allowed to presume anything anymore?
No, you can't.
Can't presume anything.
50,000 different freaking genders. I'm not buying any of that crap.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Yep, don't get me started. That's why.
Yeah,
that's
Lily
why-
is the last name. Okay, whatever.
See that?
Alright.
What's the first name? It's a secret. Hey,
Secret.
next to A.
Yeah. It's,
Man.
the A stands for any damn business.
So let's keep going with the muscle car theme.
Yeah.
And
Alright. What was your first muscle car?
my first muscle car was a which is also my first car, a 1971 GTO 400 4-speed. That was my first car.
Bench seat 4-speed.
Bench seat 4-speed, manual steering, and manual brakes.
Ah.
Talk about a beast for a 17-year-old kid. It was my knee used to tremble holding the Zoom clutch down. I had a big heavy Zoom clutch in it.
My first GTO story, I worked in a gas station and pumping gas, the usual. I was a petroleum transfer engineer.
Technician.
And, I'm an engineer, buddy.
Right.
This kid who used to hang out at the station with his buddy also worked there, Billy Becker, with
Billy
the
Becker.
primered 68 GTO, bucket seats, 4-speed, no console, 400.
Right.
He was the tough kid, He Marlboro Reds, the whole bit. And I don't think I even had a license when I met him. And he took me out in that GTO down blasted down this one empty street by the gas station. Power shifting second, power shifting third.
Right.
My life, as much as I love cars before that, my life changed completely.
Brian, well, I've been in muscle cars before that, but Brian Riccio, may rest in peace, my good buddy, known him since like 6th grade, gave me a ride in his 85 Mustang GT. And then after that, I had to have one. I was like, let's get rid of this GM stuff and give me some Fords.
Yeah. Here's a guy asked a question. Go back up a little bit there, Ed. Earl Holt, what combo would I put in a 64 Fairlane street build?
And well, Earl just bought a cream puff 64 Fairlane. I think I might have showed it to you when you were here the other night.
Yes, you did.
I showed it to you.
Here's my thing. Yeah, I would put either, depends on, easy, I'd put like a 351 in it, something like that. A good 351 stroker.
Even though it's non-correct for the year?
I don't care.
All
It's
right.
a small, you tell everybody it's a 221. Nobody will know the difference.
Okay.
Or, honestly, we built an engine back when I was working at Engine Power TV long ago. I didn't build it. Pat Topolinsky did, P-Top.
Okay.
Spec'd out his cam with the Trick Flow top end package, and he spec'd out his own cam. The thing made like 750 NA horsepower with 513 cubes on regular gas. And then we hit it with a 250 shot, made over 1,000 horsepower. It was the simplest thing. It was like a basic pump gas stroker engine with a little bit of juice. That's what I put in it, because I like big blocks. There's nothing like opening the hood of a vintage car and seeing a big block in there.
I'm going to make you laugh. I'm going 289 or like a 302 dressed like a 289 with a 331 stroker, 3/4 race cam, almost made you spit your beer out, and dual quads with fender well headers.
Very nice.
And a stick.
Yeah.
But Earl's a stick man, so that's not even a question. And then what did I just see on here? Let's see. I know I just saw something needed some attention. Ed Holmberg, GTOs, FTW. He's got some really bitchin' GTOs.
This
No,
Lily person, male,
oh, here.
or whatever the last
What's
name.
it do?
First muscle car was a 68 GTO, 400 4-speed, raging pile of crap, but it ran 12 nines, would seem fast for a 16-year-old boy. Well, let me tell you, everybody says, they all think muscle cars were faster because the tires sucked, the steering was like barely, you aimed them more than you drove them, and the brakes, you want excitement? Stop that car from a 12.9 pass on a short drag
Forget
strip.
about it.
Man, you're on the binders.
My cousin Scott, what's up, man? Hope everything's good up in Jersey there. My cousin Scott Dworkin over there in Jersey City.
Jersey
City's own.
wants a Joe Spino story.
You got to handle that one because that's your boy.
Joe was a god to me. Joe Spino owned Neighborhood Garage in Jersey City for years. Him and his brother Mikey. It was actually started by, I think, their grandfather.
Oh, wow.
And Joe was a legend. He built all the street race motors in Jersey City. Sold Cam 2 out of a barrel, Cam 2 race fuel out
Is
of
that
a
where you
barrel.
met Charlie Carburetors?
That is where I met Charlie Carburetors, and very many other people named Charlie. But Joe built the 355 in my '69 Corvette,
Right.
and oh my God, that car ripped. Joe was legendary. I mean, there's a guy pouring 4-door Cutlass, 68 Cutlass or 67 Cutlass.
Right.
And he's pouring Cam 2 on a Friday. He's pouring Cam 2
Probably
into
doing
this,
shots.
into this car. The gasoline was worth more than the car. And I said, I'm like, Joey, what's this guy doing here? He's pouring this gas. At the time, it was like 1983. The gas was probably $4 a gallon.
Right.
And he's like, in his best Jersey City accent, oh, Jimmy, you pull up next to this car at a traffic light. You pretend you got a bowl of goldfish on your seat. And I'm like, he goes, you don't want to tangle with him. You just forget it. If he offers to run you for money, don't just look away, pretend you don't understand what he's saying. 2 seconds later, the guy's all done. He fires this thing up, and the whole building shook. I mean, I don't know what engine he had in there. That Joey's specialty was Oldsmobiles,
Right.
among other Oldsmobiles, Cadillacs. To him, building a Chevy was easy. But he did all kinds of crazy stuff. Joey also, rest in peace, the diabetes got him a couple of years ago. He's a sweetheart of a man. Learned so much from him. Just, again, a Jersey City legend. Ran the Born Free Camaro. His son still has his old A modified production
No
Camaro.
way.
It's a NHRA record holder, very successful car. He now runs it on a street with an LS6 under the hood, but it looks white walls in the front, center lines. It looks like it did when it ran A modified back in the day in the mid 70s.
That's amazing. So I answered my question, first muscle car. What was your first muscle car?
My first muscle car wasn't a muscle car. How's that? Does that make sense? And
You know-
this is something we get into a lot. It was a 71 Barracuda convertible, twin scoop hood, B5 blue, white top, white interior. Bought it from the original owner with 54,000 miles. Problem was, it only had a 318 two-barrel. Now that was enough to beat all the late model Trans Ams running around on the street. And, well, forget the late model Camaros; they were even slower.
Right.
But I mean, the thing ran high 16s after I put headers on. I mean, it was not a muscle car. But people tell me to this day, it was a muscle car. It was a CUDA. It's a good question. Here's one. First muscle car I looked at to buy. Thought it was a muscle car. 67 GTO convertible, maroon, black top and interior. Open the hood. It's a 402 barrel car.
Huh.
With an automatic. Factory in 67 and 68, people don't realize this, you could get a 400 with a 2-barrel as an option. In
I
the
bet Ed
GTO.
Holmberg knows that.
No, Ed Holmberg knows everything. But
So that begs the question, because
Is-
we're getting a little off the Muscle Mustangs topic, which I know a lot of you guys came for, and we're absolutely willing to handle any of those questions. But Jim and I go back and forth all the time on what is a muscle car.
yeah, I mean, is a GTO with a factory 2-barrel carburetor a muscle car, or do you have to have 3 factory 2-barrel carburetors on the GTO
Well,
for
'cause
it to be a muscle car?
Today, everybody considers any old car
Yeah, any Impala with a 283 2-barrel is a muscle car.
Right.
You know, a 6-cylinder Mustang, yeah, it's a muscle car. No, you know, even a 302 4-barrel Mustang from 68, not really a muscle car. It only had 230 horsepower. However, everything gets painted with the same brush. I used to be a purist, maybe I still am, but maybe I shouldn't care. Maybe I should just relish it, and like I said, so my first muscle car, really, to me, my first muscle car was my 69 Corvette that was ordered new by a policeman in Jersey City. 350 horse engine.
It's
4
technically a sports car, but I'll let you slide.
It's got a small block Chevy, but it had.
No, but wouldn't any Corvette be a sports car, not a muscle car? It's not a GM intermediate. It's not an intermediate.
Hey, if a 283 Impala is a muscle car, so is a Corvette. It came with
I'm just
came with
breaking balls.
411 gears and a 4-speed from the factory. Those were the only options on the car. Didn't even have power steering. So
I agree with you, troublemaker. Big motor, drag type car. It's a muscle car. It's got muscle to it.
oh, absolutely, 390 big block car. That's 390 401. Yep. Scott Dworkin, thanks. I pumped many 5-gallon jugs out of the Can 2-barrel back in the day, and he also hooked up TRW pistons.
There you go.
Joe had everything in that place. One day I needed a set of wires. He said, I'll be right back. And he went upstairs in his building. His building took up a whole corner. It had like 3 addresses. The one building took up like three lots in Jersey City. He comes back down. He has a box of Axel wires. He blew off like a ½ an inch of dust. Yeah, these are for your car. You know, he was the best.
And you gotta love the guys like I had guys like that who just took such good care of me back in the day. And man, there was so many of them. So let's see. Back to the Muscle Mustangs days. Did you have a favorite road test, or a favorite? Let's call it. What was your favorite new car that you were just jonesing to get your hands on? And a lot of times, it's funny now. Long leads. Even like we get some of these press trips, and you'll see on my channel, like we've driven the new Mach 1 and the GT500. But back then, we really got to drive these cars well before they came out, months before they came out.
You had 3-month lead times to take care of the magazines, and then the newspaper guys would get invited a couple of days before they were introduced, before the embargo expired. That way they could get their stories in a day ahead of time. So the magazine guys, they always gave us 3 months.
So did you have either a favorite car that you drove or you were looking to drive, or a favorite test that we set up? Because we had a lot of our own tests, and Ford was usually pretty good about getting us what we wanted for a particular test.
Well, everyone was phenomenal. Because, like I said, we didn't know what we didn't know. We just thought
There's a lot of pinch yourself kind of days.
yeah, we were like, and it was all about what if. What if
Right.
we did this? What if we did that? And thankfully, the people at Ford were like, yeah, sure, whatever. They were in the business of selling Mustangs. We had muscle Mustangs. The thing just kept getting fatter and fatter. We had so much horsepower with the Mustang and Ford Public that Ford almost never said no. But the one I loved the best was, what this is, the 3-way Cobra R test. We tested it at Bratton Raceway. We tested it at Milan Dragway.
Yep.
We did a day on the road with these cars. And then Greg Biffle happened to be at the track that day. He asked if he could drive his new Lightning on track.
Yep.
He bought a Lightning, and Greg had just won the
Truck Series championship.
Truck Series championship, and he was graduating to
the Busch
the
Series.
Busch Series. Well, he might have won Busch and was graduating.
No, I think it was Truck. He was still in Truck.
Regardless, so we're up at Grattan just tearing these cars up, and it's like me, Evan, and a professional race car driver, and it was just one of those days where we were laughing. The next day we went to Milan Dragway, which Ford sent, I think it was a Roush employee actually brought
They sent the whole
cars.
rig down.
Yeah.
Both days.
Yeah, and we were like, let's see what's the difference between if you take the front splitter and the wing off a 2000R.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, it was 0.2 and 2 miles an hour and a quarter mile.
Yeah, it was
I think
significant.
It was great front. You could let your hands off the wheel at 165, which is something I didn't do with Coletti in the car in the
Right.
Cobra R.
Yep.
But it was, with those aero aids, it was phenomenally stable.
John Moore's asking about the short wheelbase T-Bird, and I know it's an undermined question because I think he built that thing or had his hand in building that. John, by the way, if you've seen John, if you're reading the comments and you see John Moore worked for SVE and I think also SVT, everything with an S and a V, and for Ford Motor Company. He did Cobra Jet. He was brand or launch manager on I forget which year GT500. He is very knowledgeable. We should get him on the show one day.
That would be fun. John Moore asks about the short wheelbase T-Bird, not Kenny Brown's, but the Ford one. John, I never got to drive that car. I know you'd probably be disappointed, but I don't know why. That might have been perhaps a little before my time. But Bus Slayer, I recall Muscle Mustang's article about a factory test car with an SN95 Cobra. I think the whole goal of the article was try to get the pull front tire. Was that the test we did of the 95R at Detroit Dragway?
Yeah, the goal I think was to go 12s because that was another Coletti story where we had driven it. I think went 13, very low 13s at Englishtown with it, and then there was 2 press cars, and they made their way through the cycle of magazines, Motor Trend, Road and Track, all the different books, and Coletti was pretty confident that that car would run in the 12s, and it never did. At least through that cycle of magazine guys. So then I get called into his office one day, and he says, John Coletti wants the thing. He thinks it'll go at 12. It has to go at 12. Get your bleep to Detroit and make it go 12s. Again, this is before cell phones, all that. So I'm like, all right, cool. When am I going? He's like, yeah, like tomorrow. I'm like, oh, crap. All right. So they got a flight booked for me.
I think Ford paid for the plane ticket.
I think they did.
Yeah.
So I called my good friend Barry Shepard. I said, dude, I can't tell you what's going on, but can you meet me at the track tomorrow with a set of slicks? And Barry showed up with a set of slicks. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I flew in. We had Jeff Koch there, our another associate editor at the time. Long story short, it's the end of the day. I had not run a 12 yet. I had made a lot of runs, and it was going like 13:05, 13:02. And I look back, man, and it's going to pour. It's going to rain. So I push the car up to the water box. I literally spray the radiator down with water to cool it down as quick as I can. And I take the serpentine belt completely off the car. And I told the guys, just push me into the water box. I'm going to do a burnout, stage go. And I had the belt and the bar, you needed the pry bar to get the tensioner, put the belt back on. I didn't even want the weight of that in the car. So I told the guys, follow me down the track with it. And literally, I do the burnout, the stage, I let the clutch go. I'm going through the gears, and it's starting to rain. And Detroit Dragway had no clocks. So I get down to the end, and now it's just pouring. I pull over after the run. I finished the run, and as I'm changing the belt, the other guys came up with the pry bar and the belt and the 12-second time slip. So we got the job done. I think we went like a 12:95 at 105 with that card. Once again, we didn't let Coletti down.
No.
He was very happy.
He didn't light me on fire in the car. And
Yeah.
and as a sidebar, I think that was the last pass anybody ever made at Detroit Dragway.
It was probably one of them.
It was gone like 2 weeks later.
Yep, we went to, and then he took me to, what's the Italian place? He
Giovanni's.
took me to Giovanni's for Berjol
Okay.
afterwards.
Oakwood Boulevard. Beautiful.
Yeah, he was very happy on that one.
Yeah, we got a couple of good questions here.
All right, let's rock it.
Jeff Lucina, what MM&FF project car is the one you just as soon not talk about or want to remember?
Well, for me, I don't think there was any that I didn't want to remember. Ironically, one of the most popular ones, and yet, I don't know, one of my least favorite was Project, at the time, of course I respect it now, was Project Pitbull, which ended up being owned by Dean.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it because, I'll be 100% honest, I didn't like it because the guy who owned it in our office was our IT guy, and he smoked Marlboros like a chimney. And that car got put in my lap, and it was really a raggy car.
It was an 83 5-liter
T-roofs, right?
T-roof stick car.
It was a pile.
It was, yeah.
And it stunk from his cigarettes, and it kept getting put in my lap to go take places because the guy had no real interest in the car. We just built it for him. And I ended up having to take the thing to like Long Island.
That was
in traffic.
I think that was our first carbureted project car muscle Mustang.
Yeah,
and I thought we could get it in the 12s, and Hunkins was like, with the factory carburetor, mind you. And Neil Van Opry played a huge role in that because he did most of the work. But everything we did with that car, we put the headers from the factory header, shorty headers from Code Blue, the 93 GT. We put those on the car with dual exhaust. Picked up like, I forget how much in a quarter mile, like 4/10.
It was huge. Neil was the king on that car.
Oh.
The Wien Stealth intake he picked out
Wien
for.
Stealth intake with and it
Wien, I don't know.
It's wine. It's wine.
Wien.
And he rejetted and reworked the factory emissions 4-barrel carburetor. Well, the thing ended up just absolutely flying. We put like 373 gears on it.
One guess who Hemi D is.
What's going on? I know who that is. David Hakim.
The Arabian Fabian, Hakeem chiming in. He's starting a YouTube channel too, I heard.
Yeah, oh God.
Yep. Can you imagine the Mopar? If you dig Mopars too, you got to check out Hemi D. He's gonna have some content up there. It's my boy Dave Hakeem. What's up, Dave?
That guy wants to know if I still have Superfly, Destroyer of Hideous Camaros. The short answer is no, I do not. I kept that car for 17 years. Drove it to Florida when I moved here. Drove it to California when I moved there. Drove it to... now, there's a car with the lowest gear it ever had was when I moved down here. It had 410s in it. But it was my daily driver with 488 gears.
It was. That was the
with
best.
A 4.6 cam NA motor that revved to about 1,000, 7,000, 8,000. They said, when do you shift that car? So when I run out of tack.
I was over 8, I think.
Well, the factory tack went to 8.
Who cares?
We shifted
It's a
it.
suggestion.
We used to do rev limiter burnouts or launches at the drag strip off the rev limiter. Like
Well, I had no
8,000.
torque. It had like 4
Zero-
foot-pounds of torque.
zero
pound-feet of
torque.
So let's see, we got.
But I did sell it about 7 years ago when I was commuting back and forth between Nashville and Tampa, and I thought having a 17-year-old car that had every hot rod shop from here to Timbuktu working on it for all those years, I finally said I need something that's a little. Not that it was unreliable, it never let me down, but it would just do weird stuff every once in a while, so I did
Like
get
a
rid
brake
of it.
line fall off it.
Brake lines fall off.
Johnny G, yep, you welded a roll cage for us. John Moore talking about when I topped out the Boss 604 at 160 at APG. That's the Arizona Proving Ground. Yep, that was fun. That's another collection. Get in and go as fast as you can. That was my instructions. Hold to the floor until it hits the rev limiter.
Yeah.
And that was in the Boss 604. Very raggy, but so much fun. Oh, I'm not dogging your car. I just didn't like the cigarette smell from Rob. I think he actually had a heart attack and died.
Yeah, he's gone.
Poor guy.
Another
All
one.
right.
Bonanimo, as we say in Italy.
See you later. All right, who's got some more questions here? We got New City Carpet. That's Lee Rudder. Got the video of the ice water. There was so many of those days. Damn, Superfly is gone. Hey, Ricardo, it's gone, but it's still around actually.
And Superfly is now a single turbo drag car. The 5.3 engine that was in it somehow let go. I don't know what kind of abuse was heaped on it with the new owner, or the third owner, I should say.
Right.
But the car is back and running. He actually sent me a video of it some time ago with the single turbo. It's got an automatic. It's the complete opposite of what we built, an NA 6-speed drag car. It's now an automatic with a, but it's running like...
Still alive though.
It was running at the equivalent of like, it was running 8th mile, but it would have been an easy low 9-second car. Yes, Jeff, they are empty, but well, nice looking.
Man, these guys have mine is empty. I'm faking the last couple sips, but we hey man, it's a work week, man. We gotta work tomorrow. So let's see. Oh, that's pretty funny. Diane's chiming in. Let's see. Hemi D. Will Ford Performance, which is FP, offer a Godzilla crate engine? Well, they already do, and so does Brian at Willis Performance Engines. WillisEngines.com. Out there in Willis, Michigan. You can get your 7.3 hooked up. We're going to be doing some stuff. Hey, are any of you guys going to the PRI show? Let's ask that, because we'll both be at the PRI show.
Yep.
Anybody going to PRI?
You can come out and buy us beers all night, you know?
I can handle about 2 or 3.
All you people
on the
talking
floor.
about our beers are empty, well, buy us new ones.
Yeah, Lucina.
Here's one.
Oh, it's Gary. It's Gary.
I
taught Lee everything he knows. We know that.
Off the Ford subject, John Guerrero says, thoughts on Project X? If anybody,
Great question.
That is really good. Project X, for those who don't know, is a popular hot rodding magazine, 57 Chevy that they bought in 1965. Turned it into a magazine project car. It's been a magazine project car now for close to 50 years. It had everything from a blown big block. It appeared in the movie Hollywood Nights with Tony Danza and Michelle Pfeiffer, right?
And Robert Wall.
So, you know, car. Its whole purpose in life was to be a test bed. Not only just a test bed.
My lovely wife getting us more beers. Come say hello. All right. She's shy.
Just to test stuff and actually really to show people how to do things. I mean, obviously you're talking about a 57 Chevy, how to put modern parts, make it a hot rod, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chevrolet Performance unveiled it at the SEMA show this year. They partnered with Discovery / Motor Trend, who now own the car, and blah blah blah. Popular hot rodding is long gone. Super Chevy. It was my car at Super Chevy, but they wouldn't let me touch it because Chevrolet Performance had done a total revamp on the car, so we couldn't touch it. After I left, they said, okay, take the gloves off, thanks.
Right.
But it's now an electric car. It has the engine from the upcoming Cadillac Lyric SUV that makes 340 horsepower, but 1,150 foot-pounds of torque. What do I think? I don't know. I mean, it's hot rodding, and it's certainly 21st century hot rodding, but, I mean, I don't know. It's tough. I think it would have been a lot cooler if they kept the big block that was in it and put electric motors at the wheels, you know, a la Ferrari.
Right.
La Ferrari.
I'll go on the record, not a fan. I think that's an iconic movie car, and I know it evolved over time, but I think they always kind of kept that flair, and I don't know, maybe because I'm such a fan of the movie, it's one of my all-time favorite movies, as goofy as a movie it is.
Well, we both have valves from the engine when it blew up in the movie.
Yep.
The balancer came off, went through the radiator.
With Tony Danza, missed the shift, or it
no,
just
he
broke?
didn't. He didn't miss the shift.
He says he didn't.
No, he was a banger. He had he was a Corvette guy with a stick. He knew what he was doing.
So he had white sneakers and gold chains?
No, back in the day, the former Corvette owners. And but Doug Marion, who worked on the film set, who was an associate editor on PHR at the time, sent me and Evan a bunch of some valves from the motor from that night.
Yep, I have them right in the garage. Let's see here. Cancel PR trip this year. Let's see, Mike Boost. Pilot Mike.
Yo, Mike, what's
I'll
going
let
on?
you answer that one.
Would you
Since
consider
you're the-
any
you're
of
the
the
one who-
modern Mustangs a muscle car? Yeah, I would, Michael. Actually, I would. They're modern muscle cars. But I think at this point we can even drop the modern adjective from their names. I mean, geez, you can buy a Mustang GT with a 10-speed automatic and run 11s. That's a muscle car.
Well, the other thing is, I think back then there was a differentiation because, like, say you had like a 6-cylinder or whatever, a 289 Fairlane or a 6-cylinder Chevelle, say a 70 Chevelle with a 6-cylinder or a 307, and then right next to it you had a 454 Chevelle or a 427 Fairlane. One was clearly a muscle car and one wasn't.
Yeah.
But you don't have that choice now. Of course, you have EcoBoost Mustang in the Mustang game, and the Challenger has the V6, and the bigger one you could kind of claim as a muscle car. But to answer your question, I don't know that I'd call an EcoBoost Mustang a muscle car. Very cool and fun and neat
fast.
and fast, but it doesn't have, to me, a V8. It's not a muscle car.
Yeah, it could be right.
Although Buick Grand National could be considered a muscle car. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got kicking here for
Talking
questions.
about more people. Do you keep in touch with Bernie or Yo Ken? Well, you keep in touch with Yo Ken. Bernie
passed away.
Bonanima, another lost soldier.
Love Bernie to death, man. I miss that
To
guy.
the bitter end. His last public appearance was at the NMRA Maple Grove a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Vinnie Kung brought him out just so he could be there one last time. He was not doing well, but he was. You never saw the guy so happy. He was so. People were coming up to him, having their kids taking pictures.
I'm almost tearing up. I love that guy
Taking
so much.
pictures of their kids would ask Bernie, like, "Do you know who that is? That's Bernie Golic," and he was like a god. Again, just funny. Just
Oh, guy
you
with
talk
zero
about
filter.
he bled Ford Blue. I think he drank Ford Blue. That was his.
Yep.
He was, oh God, guy crewed on a T-Bolt, Dobbs Ferry Ford T-Bolt back in the day.
Drove his Pantera to the bitter end.
Yeah.
And actually, if you really dig Bernie, if you go on Uncle Tony's channel, Uncle Tony's Garage, and you scroll back quite a bit at this point, we did a giant interview, like a 5.0 Mustang. Probably just search like 5.0 Mustang Talk, or I forget what it's actually called, but search it out on Uncle Tony's channel because we have it. We have the last interview with Bernie. I'm on there, Tony's on there, Neil's on there. It's like an hour and a half long. You don't have to watch it in parts, but if you like Bernie and you want a little piece of him, he spoke his mind probably the last time in that video.
Bernie was a Ford service technician, and one time he took Evan on a service call. There was
best story ever.
The car wasn't running right. The dealership couldn't get it to idle properly.
Correct.
And
It was a Crown Vic.
Crown Vic. This was what, 96 maybe?
Something like that, yeah.
So go ahead, tell the story. If you go on this call, you're going out to lunch.
Bernie's taking me to lunch. I'm still relatively new, and I think Bernie was feeling me out.
Yeah.
So we go to the dealership. Bernie was the field service rep. So if a mechanic at a North New Jersey Ford dealer or New York couldn't fix a car, they would call Bernie in. Bernie would fix the car because Bernie could fix anything. So we go to the dealer. We get in this Crown Vic. We're going to take it for a test drive. We drive around the back of the building. Bernie's got a socket and a pry bar about that long.
He goes, I've got to calibrate the engine.
So he pulls around back, and I'm thinking like we're going to go to lunch. He's going to feel it out. He pops the hood. He goes, come with me. He puts the socket on the fuel regulator and puts the, he goes, hold the pry bar under the fuel rail, right under the regulator. So he's a whole little pressure on it. He looks around, he takes out a hammer, and he smacks it twice. And I go, what the hell are you doing? He goes, I'm recalibrating it. We drove away and it was perfect.
It was
no more stumble.
No more stumble. It's just hardcore. Bernie, in all seriousness, Bernie was one of the people, the De Tomaso Pantera was the only car ever sold by Ford that didn't go through any of its quality control standards.
Right.
Bernie actually led the team of guys who fixed all the overheating issues, all the electrical issues. The car had a myriad of issues, and Bernie led that team. He bought a 72 new and had it till the day he died.
So many good Bernie stories. I'll tell you, I had about a 100-mile overall commute when I first started at Muscle Mustangs. So I bought a Mustang, I bought an Escort GT, which, dude, I saw a black one yesterday, just like the one I had. It was fun to drive, but it got me back and forth.
And it got like 97 miles per gallon.
It did. So it accumulated about 70,000 miles on it, and I didn't do a timing belt on it. And Bernie's like, "What is wrong with you? Bring it down to," I won't say the name of the Ford dealer, but Bernie goes, "Bring the car down to the dealer, and we'll take care of it. Well, you got to get this belt fixed. You don't want to hurt the engine." Okay, I'll take the car.
You had what, like 150,000 miles or something?
I had like 70 on it at that point, but eventually, yeah, trust me, I know. Maybe it was 110. I don't know. It was a lot.
It was a lot.
So I dropped the car off. Get a call another day or two later. Come pick the car up. I come pick the car up. I go to leave the car. I'm like, "All right, how much is it?" And the guy goes, "Oh, we took care of it under warranty." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I wasn't gonna question. I get in the car to go drive away, and my car had 34,000 miles on it. What Ford dealer? The Ford dealer rolled the odometer back. Like, could you imagine? Oh, first they can't do it today because it's digital, but that's the kind of things that Bernie could pull off.
Yep.
My car got fixed under warranty with 100,000 miles on it.
It was beautiful.
And I got it back with the proper mileage.
Yep. Hey, a shout out there to Mark Harwell, my hero, Coastal Chassis.
Is he on?
No, Coastal Chassis Dyno.
My man. That's Sam.
Okay.
What's going on, Sam? I appreciate you chiming in. I texted you today and you didn't get back to me. I'm assuming you were busy. Kevin's car's down here, so we need to work on that. And there's another car we need to work on, so let's get chopping.
Hey.
But yeah, Mark Harwell, dude, he's hanging a tough fight right now. If you guys remember Pro 50 racer Mark Harwell, he's fighting that cancer fight right now, so we're pulling for him.
Yep,
we love the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Chicken Man, the original Chicken Man.
Yeah, he actually got a sponsorship from Kentucky Fried Chicken. Of course, it was called KFC by this point. And he convinced Fun Ford to legalize twin turbos in Pro 50, which, that was a controversial thing. It really kind of upset the New World Order. As Joe Spetter Sr. said, 2 turbos, just give me one, I'll dominate the class.
Right.
So it was different kind of thing.
Shout out to Foxcast Media. If you guys like Fox Body stuff, they do a fantastic job on that channel. He's got a YouTube channel as well, and I'm on there all the time checking out Fox stuff. I appreciate you coming on here and spreading the good word. Says we're, what did he say about us? The MM&FF crew.
Yeah, we are not the MM&FF crew. We are part of the crew, but I will say, as the editor and then later editorial director, I had a cast of great people come.
It was like the Little Rascals, dude.
It was like
we had misfits.
Oh God!
Interns.
Some worked out better than others, but they all gave it their college try. I mean, of course, the legend Vinny Kung, Hitman Vinny. I mean, guy comes in just like.
Like a ball of fire.
Yeah, I mean, just nuts up.
Steve Bauer still rocking it hardcore in the media world.
And the last of the CSKers who's still employed in the at the old publishing company, whatever it's called today, Discovery, Motor Trend, John Hunkins.
Heddenberg.
We had a lot of guys. And
Jill did the internship.
Yep.
We had a lot of people come through there.
Yeah, but they all kind of left something there. They all left a piece of their soul in there, and it was a good thing, man.
Good way to put it.
Everybody gave their all, I think, for the most part.
Shout out to Henry D, who took it over from me.
Yep.
The last editor.
Killed it.
Right. He's a dead man.
What'd you do, Henry? You killed it.
Yep. Amy, what's up, Amy? How you doing? Thanks for chiming in. We miss you too. I guess you're going to be at NMRA, so we're very happy to see that. Amy's got her EcoBoost Mustang cruising it.
Yep. Campy, give us an MM&FF jail story.
Do we have Sam? I see. Yay, Sam. Oh, Sam. She's talking about our boyfriend Sam.
Yeah.
John Moore. What's the question?
A Mustang jail story.
We've never been in jail.
No.
I don't think I've ever been locked up ever.
No, I've never spent a minute behind bars.
Nor do I ever want to.
No. This body is not made for prison.
I'm gonna leave that right there.
No, I mean I remember going to a Super Chevy in Houston, and it was the weather report was so bad they rained out the Saturday on Friday of the Super Chevy.
I think I was
we
with
literally no, this was a year before. The storm that came through was so bad we couldn't even leave the hotel. So I'm in my room and I've got the internet and I've got air conditioning and I got the TV, And I was, by the end of the day, I was going stir crazy because I just wanted to get out so bad. I can't imagine what it's like wearing an orange jumpsuit for 30 years.
Well, it's still probably better than going to the Chevy event.
Oh! Hey now.
Let's see, Henry D. Eco Boom. Yeah, Amy's blown that thing up.
Bernie was a tremendous help to us back then. He really was.
Oh my God. He got, when I was the T5 Bandit, remember he got your transmission fixed?
Oh, God.
After I blew up your transmission?
Which one?
You know, what, didn't they got mad that we had a throttle body and an intake on it, but they didn't say anything about the nitrous bottle in the trunk.
Yeah.
That's a funny story. Tell that one, the day that me, you, and Randy went to lunch and we were looking for talent.
Yeah, we went out for lunch. You know, we went right past this one church. I was looking to get my Bible adjusted. And so we go out to lunch. We're coming back, and we're on Route 17 in Mexico. And we pull up to a light, and this guy pulls up, and I don't remember what was in the next
I don't remember what it was.
But this guy, this is our 95 Mustang GT project. He hops in.
The thing was running mid-12s with, I think we had aluminum heads, 100 shot, and like a 373 gear or something like that.
I don't think it even had heads on it at that point.
Oh, really?
It was stock long block with headers and bolt-ons. But
weren't you looking for bolt-ons at lunch?
I don't know what you're talking about. So this guy, he's sitting in the back seat. This guy pulls up next to us in some kind of hot rod. He's revving it up.
He gave us like 3,500 RPM worth of Team Flowmaster.
So this guy unbuckles his seatbelt, pops the other side of the thing.
Because you could lay the seat forward.
Yeah, he pulls the seat back down, opens up the nitrous bottle, and puts the seatbelt back on, and we just take off, and that was the end of that.
You smoked them.
Oh, of course. That was fun times.
3 people in the car.
Not that we would ever encourage that type of antisocial behavior in this day and age, because that was,
nope,
it was
that would be
bad.
irresponsible.
Irresponsible, because we're nothing if not responsible.
That we are.
So
We're older and wiser. Bible adjusted. Yeah, you never had your Bible adjusted? Forget about it. Sometimes you gotta go in there.
Speaking of the West Coast,
There he is, Holdner.
Richard Holdner.
My man.
How you doing?
Talk about part of the MM&FF.
Dude, this guy got rich. He bought a Ferrari after he rode for Muscle Mustangs. 3 stories a month, 6 pages each. He got rich off of me.
He led the cast of characters for a while there.
I'm still waiting for my 200-mile-an-hour project car to go 200.
Oh, you gotta get off that.
I'm not getting never.
You gotta let it go, dude.
The guy's built 700 engines. He's got the car with a roll cage in it.
You just said right there, he never leaves the dyno shop.
Well, you gotta put that motor in the car and go do 200 in it.
Alright, well check out Richard Holdner's channel. He's got a channel too. When you get off of this, you got a bunch of work to do. We're giving you some homework. You gotta make sure you subscribe here. We'd appreciate that at REVan Evan. Muscle Car Campy. Wait, I'll do it for you. There it is. And then Richard Holdner, if you remember that name, of course, big time tech writer for Muscle Mustangs. He's got his own channel now. Fantastic. Guy is awesome on camera. We begged Richard, you really begged Richard, please give us some video. We want video. Guy leaves Muscle Mustangs, what does he do? Starts YouTube.
Video. It's all about the video.
He's got a great channel. Let's see. Evan Arthur, tell your friend fighting cancer to take supplements, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's fighting it, man. Let's see. Escort GT Daily 25 years ago. Evan Smith impersonation. Power shift. Trench grenaded. Scattering the parts and oil all over the street. I never blew my Escort up.
Oh, God.
I never blew that transmission up in that thing.
Here's a story. Here, you want a good Evan Smith Muscle Mustang story?
Do it.
Evan's at the U.S. Nationals with a brand new Kunz & Company bullet under the hood. And when we were running stock eliminator where he was, and it was part of the Muscle Mustangs project car.
I will state we were experimenting at the moment with camshafts. Carry on.
So I would call him up. Again, these are the old days. He had a cell phone, which was a big deal, right? I was calling him from my landline.
It was the brick phone.
Yeah, how you doing? What's going on out there? And things were going well. Call him up. I hadn't heard from him for a while. I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Grenaded the engine in the staging lanes."
Right in the lanes.
Right, it started up.
I think it had 13 runs on it.
It just grenaded right there. So I'm like, "Oh man!" So I hang up and I tell my wife. She goes, "What's going on?" I said, Evan blew his motor up at Indy."
without missing a beat. It's about time he broke his own car.
I broke your car a bunch of times.
He broke.
Remember the time the rear almost fell out of it?
Oh god, you broke control arms. You did.
Who breaks a control arm?
2 of them.
I let the clutch out on Superfly one time.
Both upper control arms.
Like,
Or the lowers.
no, the uppers.
It was the uppers. They just poof came
Where-
apart at the welds.
The upper control arm on a Fox body or SN95. We all know what that looks like. So the round part that holds the bushing that mounts to the rear end separated from the arm that connects to the back of the rear housing. Both of them literally separated as I let the clutch out. The whole back of the car lifted up, and it was the weirdest feeling from the driver's seat. I couldn't fathom what was wrong. I thought that both shock mounts broke out of it. And then the worst part was when the car settled, the control arm went back into place, and you know how it's like, you know, it's cut like with
It's like a C shape.
yeah, like a C shape. And so it went back into place. So now we're looking at the car on the ground, and we couldn't figure out what was broken on it. And then we drove it again, and it lifted up again, and we looked under there. And I think once we jacked it up,
Yeah,
and
when we
saw
jacked it up, it just came apart.
that, we were freaked out by that.
Yeah.
And they were experimental arms from a company. I won't say the company, but you could see one. When
I don't
it
think
broke.
they were experimental. They were
The welds were all
welds were
porous and
terrible,
stuff. The
yeah.
welds were terrible.
Yeah.
Let's
Liz
see.
Sam wants to know whose opinion on the new GT500 versus G8.
I don't know. Who's got a G8?
Muscle Car Campy. Check out the videos. Yeah, no, I love my Pontiac G8 GT. 60
You're going to need like a
RS.
400 shot, and then you're going to need like a blower.
Oh, actually, it's. I never thought I'd say this. It's the GT500 is the one car that's heavier than my 4-door Pontiac.
Sam, come on now. We both know that's not a fair fight. You're going to have to wait till he steps up and gets his Goombach Corvette.
That's it, baby.
Let's see. Evan, you were the one that told me to go to the video when the magazines went away. Well, I was right about something, I guess, right? This is a
Yeah.
lot more, I don't say it's a lot more fun, but YouTube's a fantastic medium for sharing, and being able to do these live videos in addition to the stuff we do on the channel is fantastic. I would be remiss if I didn't throw a shout out real quick to my man Abe Tango, who couldn't make it tonight. He was doing other stuff, but he helps me immensely with the channel. Big help. I honestly would not be able to do the channel or the projects that we do without Abe. So I love that guy, and he's probably working on the cyclone all day today. I hope. Let's see, we got a.
John, here you go. John Moore shouting out to Holdner for his ultimate guide to small block Ford cylinder heads.
There's a new name here. 1991 Calypso. I'll let you read that one.
When I got my Fox in 2001, you guys at Muscle Mustangs and 5.0 Mag were the reason I didn't get a lot of homework done in high school. We appreciate that.
Yep. I almost failed out of high school because of Hot Rod magazines.
The funniest story, my mother would always, my mother took my education seriously. She always yelled at me I was reading too many car magazines and not enough school books. And my first job in the automotive publishing industry was as a proofreader.
Yep.
For Vet Magazine, Muscle Cars Magazine, High Performance Pontiac, and High Performance Mopar. So when I got a minute that day, I called my mother from work, and I said, guess what, Mom? Now I get paid to read car magazines. They actually pay me to read them. So all that work paid off.
Yep. I don't know if we're freezing up or what, but let's see. Go MM&FF. We still got the chat working, I think. Uh-oh.
No. Maybe we've been on too long. We broke the internet.
We might have broke the internet. Subscribe button. I've already subscribed. Let's see. Let's see. Oh. I'm not worried about that. We're still going.
Okay.
Alright, so let's see. It's getting late. We want to wrap this up soon. We'll keep, let's see, we'll keep this kind of short and sweet. We'll tell maybe 1 or 2 more quickie stories, answer a few more questions. And my computer messed up a little bit, so I'm not sure if we're still alive, but I'm hoping we are.
My pulse is going.
Yeah, I mean, we're still alive. I said, I don't know if we are alive.
Yep.
So this ought to be fun here. Hang on. Nope, we don't want to do that. Let's go here. All right, we're back.
No.
Sorry about that.
Are we live, guys?
Let's see here. You are live. All right, we're still live. We're still live. Good. Thought we were dead there for a minute. Let's see. We'll rock out a couple more questions. Holder's on the West Coast, and you see some of these names on it. If you got a question for Holdner, or if you got a question for any of these guys on here, John Moore, you can pop a question to him. We're still live?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Favorite Muscle Mustangs and Fast Forwards cover?
Oh, God. That's a tough one.
That's an easy one for me.
Is it?
Absolutely easy.
Do it.
Racing Jason's Mustang
Oh,
with
yeah, man.
Natalie Smith, Penthouse Pet of the Year runner-up on the cover.
Keep talking. I'll go snag it real quick. I know right where it is.
That,
95, right?
Might be a little later. It was we convinced the boss to throw a poster in the magazine. Racing Jason's white convertible, legend of the game, right? Twin turbo car, and our guy who's in charge of our circulation, CSK Publishing, his wife had the same position at General Media, which published Circle Track and some other magazine called Penthouse Letters, etc. So they always had models in the city that were for appearances, and so that was my favorite cover. This was a film shoot.
Help me out here. And because magazine's in pristine condition. I don't know how we're going to do this without messing up my magazine that's in pristine condition.
But yeah, Natalie was great. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful lady. You know, you gotta, whoa, watch it.
All right, don't mess it up.
There you go.
Jack
You know,
the
she
magazine.
shows up. She doesn't know us from Adam. She doesn't have any idea who we are, just that she got this assignment. And she's walking into a dark photo studio with like 5 guys. And yet, you know, of course we treated her with complete respect. And by the end of the day, she was just like one of the guys just running around crazy and
Right.
just, but that photo shoot, just because it was Racing Jason, another, you know.
Yeah, and the car's still around. It was restored by Joe Caldwell,
Yep.
A good friend of mine, and it's still around.
Yeah.
I think it's actually for sale. If somebody's
be
interested in
sold.
buying, nah, he's still. I talked to him yesterday or 2
Okay,
days
still
ago.
has it, yeah.
Yeah, he's looking to sell that bad boy. So if you guys want to own a piece of history, the Racing Jason car is for sale. You could probably contact me in Messenger on my Facebook.
Here's another one, Abe Tang, the NYPD Mustang cover.
I thought I had that one out.
No.
Isn't that over here?
Now that story was during Operation
I got that right
Hermes.
here.
Was a street racing crackdown, and Vinny Kung turned me on to the story. We should do a story with these 2 Mustangs that were seized street racing. He failed to leave out the one detail that one of the cars was his before it got seized racing over in New York. But so we go down to we're in Brooklyn actually, on some cobblestone streets with the NYPD, and we're shooting these 2 cars. They're both decked out in full blue and white NYPD colors, and there you go, right? So what we always do with any photo shoot, we always wanted to do a some car-to-car stuff. Well, now it's like we're talking rush hour, 5 o'clock in New York City, but this is pre 9/11, so they're like, oh, don't worry. Just drive down the Brooklyn Bridge, and we're going towards Manhattan with 2 Mustangs behind. So I got a photographer hanging out of a van, 2 Mustangs with their sirens going, would look like police cars chasing us. We get to just before we get to the other side of the bridge, Vinny hangs a U-turn in the middle, like just all traffic is stopped, and here come these 2 Mustangs chasing us back to Brooklyn. And all I could ever think about, I'm sitting riding shotgun in a van, Vinny's driving, I'm like, these people must think this is the craziest thing ever. There's like, these 2 cops are chasing a Ford Windstar minivan across the Brooklyn Bridge and back.
So this is not one of my favorite covers artistically, but this is probably one of my favorite stories and one of my best days on the job. And that is the day that we got to drive all 3 FR500 Mustangs. This is, 2000, at Road Atlanta, and Rusty Wallace and Max Pappas were both there. There was only about 5 journalists. Jim, myself, this guy Jim Dietzler. I want to say Steve Turner was there.
It
Possibly.
might have been. It was either Steve Turner or
I think it was Turner.
what's his name? Wilson from California.
I think it was Turner,
It
though.
might have been.
And so there was like literally 5 of us. We had Road Atlanta to ourselves with the 3 FR500s, a new Corvette, and a Viper. And basically it was just go out, drive the cars, have as much fun as you guys want. And then I got to drive in the car with Rusty, and then he rode as a passenger with me, had no idea what I was doing. And then I think you rode with Max.
I rode with both of them.
And then they were both Ford drivers at the time, Max in IndyCar and Rusty, of course, in NASCAR. And I rode with them both, and they both won the next weekend, by the way.
That's close to you.
Just saying.
I don't, you know.
So
Here-
there you go.
Here it is. I was looking, my head was down because I was looking for this. This is us being chased across the Brooklyn Bridge. You can't, you know, we're the pace car, but the lights were going. You know, and again, you talk about nowadays we would have had a video camera going.
Oh, you have a whole crew.
I don't think we even, we had a website, sort of.
GMP makes that in diecast now.
Oh, that's fine.
So let's see. We're gonna wrap it up pretty soon because it's getting late on the East Coast. He's kind of old. We're getting ready for PRI. We got to do some stuff.
Tom
Oh,
Wilson.
there you go. Tom Wilson
But
was
I
there.
think you're right though. It was Turner, not Tom Wilson.
I'm pretty sure Turner was there. Love that guy.
Oh,
Steve
yeah.
Turner's a great dude. He works with you now. So let's see. Just crack off a couple of these more questions. Diamond Hugo's 86. We got the Colonel on here. Mustang versus Grand National Showdown English Downs. Those, I mean, forget about it. Those were the best. Quick LTD, which is Dean. Hope you're feeling better.
I might have hit a car for someone we all know during that operation.
Yeah, I don't know nothing. Subscribe to Muscle Car Campy. Dave Turner, thank you. Nice momentum in the Black Mustang. And then Richard Holdner, Super Fords was a great magazine. Yeah, we killed it.
Yeah.
We won't dog those guys.
Nah, we always joke because we had more brains, more ego than brains. We always would every time another Mustang magazine went out of business, we took full responsibility because
It's true.
That's how egotistical we were, and you know.
Richard Holder, I did some stuff for Tom at Super Ford. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Richard, just joking.
What was the least inspiring new Mustang you tested?
That's easy for me.
Go ahead.
96 Mustang GT.
Oh,
Terrible.
oh, that car was a lump.
Car was,
Oh.
it was, but more than just a lump. Here's Ford's brand new engine, and we're going backwards. It was just so slow and just didn't feel good.
And the new Camaro had 260 horsepower with the LT1 and 390 million foot-pounds of torque.
We did.
We did everything with that Mustang, but stage it with the rear tires. Finally, we got it. We must have made 20 passes at Carlsbad Raceway.
Yep, the now defunct.
Race in peace.
Remember the ET?
14,995.
We did sneak it in the 14.
But it didn't even crack 90 miles an hour.
No, and then the automatic went 15s. Now, granted, they were not much slower than a 94, 95 automatic GT.
About a half a second.
But-
our 95 GT,
Which
I
were still
think.
kind of slow.
Well,
Not the Cobra, the GT.
yeah, it went 14.5
Did
at 93 or
You
so.
got a better memory than
Yeah,
I do.
no, I remember these things. But I just remember we made a bunch of runs where, we just couldn't get it to go 14s. It was so
Yeah.
disappointing because it didn't even, it had no horsepower, but worse, it didn't have any torque. It didn't.
It just felt terrible.
It
It
just-
and with overhead cans, you at least wanted it to rev. Let's at least have an
Yeah.
engine that
It was
sounds
all
good
in.
and revs.
The best run was shifting at 5,000 RPM.
Yeah.
There's a single overhead cam V8.
So Leland Young, yes, we felt the same thing. We did not like that engine at all, but better things were to come. You have to admit. And if you think about
Well-
the evolution of the mod motor and stuff, and the fact that you brag on the coveted 2000 Cobra R, which 385 horse, but really about 4 1/4, and then you think that's a 5.4, right?
Yeah.
Overhead cam, and think about how much better the current Coyote is than that engine.
It's amazing.
right?
Yeah.
With less cubic inches, but
Yeah.
still
But
the same
even-
bore spacing, essentially
Yeah.
similar. It's, I think there's slight differences.
But in defense of the 4.62 valve, think about it. When the PI cars came out, we had what, a 2001 Mustang GT with a 5-speed, and that thing went 13.7.
And I'm laughing because Ed said new edge was redemption. Yes, no doubt about it. That finally got back into 13s with the new edge 260 horse, and it breathed a little life back in the Mustang.
No doubt. Oh,
So, all right, guys.
Yeah.
Let's see.
this chair is killing me, guys.
He's dying over here. I think we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. I can't thank everybody enough who chimed in with some questions and people who just kicked back and watched. I know my man Ryan is out there watching from
I
Pennsylvania.
think we'll do this again sometime. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll be at PRI. I think I'm gonna try to do some, at least Facebook, if not YouTube Live or YouTube videos, at least from PRI. Don't forget to check out Muscle Car Campy. Drop him a sub. Check out his videos. He's got more to come. If you've got muscle car video ideas for him, or if you've got video ideas for me, please leave them in the comments. We're having a fun time. Jim, this has been awesome.
REVan Evan.
Yep.
Good times.
Yep, and all the guys, some new, some old. We got the comments are just pounding in right now. So maybe we'll just stay on here and read a couple more because we don't want to leave anybody hanging. See you, Richard. Thank you so much. Kevin, thank you. You guys are awesome. Hope to see more of these podcasts. Yep, we appreciate you guys checking us out. I apologize for looking down. I'm reading the comments. Cobra Racer 46. The rumor that Ford put the squeeze on the aftermarket supplying the 4B heads. I've not heard anything about that. I don't honestly think Ford can do that because it's not like they can tell somebody whether they can make aftermarket parts or not.
What put the squeeze on the old 4.64 valves? It's Coyote was just that much better.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I remember the first time I drove one, I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Oh boy, this is some kind of engine here."
Yep, Johnny G chiming in. Bus Slayer, thanks guys. So, all right, that's a wrap. Hit the subs. Check us out all over the place. Instagram, Facebook. Don't forget to check out, where is it? Drag Racing Edge magazine. And I think I just saw in the mail today the new copy of Fastest Streetcar.
Love me some Fastest Streetcar. That's where I work today, baby. National Sales Director. So anybody who wants to be a sponsor of the NMRA or NMCA or an advertiser for Fastest Streetcar, give Muscle Car Campy a call. We'll turn you on. We'll take as much money as you want to give us.
Yep. All right, guys, we're chiming out. You guys have a great night. We'll see you soon. Hope that ended it.
Shut the camera. That'll do.
Good point. That rocked. I don't know that we cracked 100, but we had a solid. Let's see. Who's off? I think I have to go here.
That went from 577 to 601 subscribers.
Hang on.
I can dig it.
We're still live. Hold on.